Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. So in today's video, we are going to be talking all about my eyeshadow palette collection. I had done a poll in my community tab a couple of weeks ago, and I was just kind of saying that I didn't really feel like I could do a full declutter series because honestly there isn't that much that I was wanting to get rid of, but I thought that I could take you through my makeup collection category by category and kind of show you everything that I own and then maybe declutter a couple of products throughout. So you guys seem to really like that idea, so that's what we're going to be doing today. So we have a lot to get through, clearly. So I'm just going to hop into it. I also wanted to say that I am going to be starting a Pan Those Eyeshadows project here in a little while, so this is going to kind of give you an overview of all of the pans that are going to be eligible for that project. So I am going to go in no particular order. I do have them kind of categorized by brand, but that's really the only order you will see in here. Actually, I'm going to start with palettes that are currently in my Shop My Stash. So this is my newest little palette. This is by e.l.f. Cosmetics, and this is a little 6-pan palette in Island Breeze. This is what the colors look like, and I will go ahead and swatch. I want to include swatches in this video just because I find swatches really helpful, so we will do that today. So those are just some swatches from this palette. These shadows are actually, they feel kind of wet to the touch. They're more of like a cream to powder formula. I've only used this once so far, so I'm definitely going to hold on to it, but I do think it's a nice little 6-pan palette. I like the color scheme, and I got this for about $2 at TJ Maxx. This is going to be a long video, so if you don't like long videos, this probably won't be for you. But if you are just feeling like chilling out and looking at some eyeshadows, then I hope you really enjoy this. This is my Modern Renaissance palette. This is currently in my 2019 year-long project pan. That is what she looks like. I will just swatch a couple of colors here for you. I'm sure that you're all pretty familiar with this palette. I mean, the swatches they just speak for themselves, to be honest. Those are just a few swatches there, and maybe I won't swatch every single palette. I'll swatch like as much as I can, but this is such a well-known palette that I feel like you guys don't really need to see swatches of it. I am obviously keeping it because it is in my project pan, and I really do like that palette. Next up for my Shop My Stash this month is my Lorac Pro 2 palette. This is what this looks like. It's a really nice cool toned palette. You have your row of mattes and your row of shimmers. This is one of the lesser used items in my makeup collection as far as eyeshadow palettes go, but I do still really like the color scheme. It's dirty. I really just enjoy the formula of Lorac shadows. Unfortunately, their cruelty-free status is so like iffy, so I haven't bought anything from them recently, but I really do like this, and I am going to hold on to it. This is also my Shop My Stash for the month. This is my Too Faced Chocolate Bonbon palette. I'll swatch some of the shimmers for you because I do think they are quite pretty. And I'll swatch maybe a matte. I do really like this palette. I think that it is a nice like cooler toned slash neutral palette, and I really do enjoy having it in my collection. I'm happy that I brought it into my Shop My Stash because honestly I hadn't been reaching for it otherwise. But yeah, we are going to hold on to this guy. I really do like it, and I just love Too Faced packaging. It is so cute. Next we have this little palette by Academy of Color. This is their Cranberry eyeshadow palette. It has 9 colors in it. I've been really getting along with this palette. I really like the formula. The shimmers are so pretty, like this one, those are really, and this one is okay. I don't really use like silver shimmer, but I wore this today, I wore this today. Yeah, I've been playing with those, so I really do like this palette. I will give you guys some swatches. Now, I do not know anything about this brand. I got this palette for either Christmas or my birthday. I forget which. But I mean, they swatch so nicely and they apply just as nicely. There's some swatches, and I think that this is just a really pretty palette. It's nothing super unique. I definitely do have these colors already in my collection. With that being said, I really do like the palette as a whole. One thing that I do want to look into is like depotting these eyeshadows. I already started to like pull apart the cardboard because this packaging is just like something that I know that I'm not going to want to reach for unless it's in my Shop My Stash, because the packaging is just so unappealing. But I'm going to see if I can maybe depot these and put them in a Z palette, because I do really like the colors, I just don't like the packaging. Last up in my Shop My Stash this month is my little Tarte magnetic palette full of mostly Colourpop shadows. These two are Anastasia shadows down here. This is Birkin and In the Spotlight, but the rest are Colourpop shadows. I really love the Colourpop pressed formula, so I'm holding on to this. I'm not really going to go through shade by shade because we would be here forever. Maybe I can do that in a future video if you guys would be interested, but these pans will be eligible for the Pan Those eyeshadows, which I'm just so excited to start. So I really like this. I love this color. This is Tiki. I really like this green. This is 143. I really like this pink. This is in Fair Play. I'll swatch that one for you because I've been so into like pink eyeshadow lately. Like that is just so pretty to me. And I'll swatch 143 too because that is so pretty. Okay, and I'll swatch Tiki because why not? Those are some of my favorite colors. So I really have been enjoying playing with this month, and yeah, not going anywhere. So now we can dive into the palettes that are not in my Shop My Stash. So these are just ones that are hanging out in my collection here. Again, I'm going in no particular order, but I'm just going to pull what I see. So this is by Flower Beauty. This is their Shimmer and Shade eyeshadow palette in Cool Natural. I haven't really gotten much use out of this, mainly because when I used it the first time, I wasn't the biggest fan of the formula, but oh god. Swatching it, it is just so soft, but I just felt like, I don't know, the formula was almost like too soft, but I definitely need to play with it because I know a lot of people, like Andrea Mataliano comes to mind, and a couple of other people have done like tutorials using the Flower Beauty palettes, maybe not this one in particular, but just their formula in general, and they really like it. So I just need to give this some more love. I'm definitely going to keep it. It's just the couple of times that I've used it, I wasn't really digging it, but I don't know, maybe my preferences will change. I do think the color scheme is really nice. I've been so into cool tones lately. Now this is by NYX Cosmetics. This is their Avant Pop palette. This is in the Surreal My Heart formula variation. So this is what she looks like, and to be honest, when I first bought this, I thought it was the most unique palette. I was like, oh wow, look at that yellow, look at that teal, look at that blue. I have those colors now. I want to show you, like for the blue and the teal, I have it in my NATASHA DENONA palette here. And then for this like electric yellow, I have this in like my ABH Prism palette. I feel like I have it in another palette as well. And then these neutrals are just neutrals. So, I mean, the formula's fine. And like I said, I thought it was, like, that's not swatching very well. Super unique at the time. They swatch really nicely, and I do think that it is a nice, more affordable palette, positive of the exact cost of this, but I am just going to declutter this one actually, because like I said, if I am reaching for these types of tones, I am reaching for a different palette in my collection. I don't remember the last time I used this. It survived my last eyeshadow palette declutter because I was like, oh, it's so pretty, like I need to get more use out of it. I haven't reached for it once, and that was a year ago. So it's time for me to let this guy go. So yeah, that is one decluttered. This palette is by Max Studio Eye. This is a brand that is sold at TJ Maxx, and it comes with one of those little like sponge applicators, and then you get some nice neutral shades in here. I will swatch them. I'm not going to lie, this palette does not really inspire me. It doesn't really speak to me. I haven't actually delved into it. Ooh, that matte does not swatch very well. I mean, the shimmers feel really soft and they're swatching really beautifully. Like, those shimmers look super pretty. The mattes don't really swatch very well. It's tough. This was a gift, and it does like make me feel awkward decluttering a gift. Like, that is just always something that makes me feel awkward. But I know that there is someone out there that will get more use out of this than I will, because I have these colors over and over again in my collection in formulas that I really love. So this guy is actually going to be passed along. I'm sure that I can find a great home for it, and I feel okay about that. So we'll go ahead and pass that guy along. Next up here is from Hard Candy. Hard Candy is a brand that is sold at Walmart. This is, what is it called? It's their Look Pro Eyeshadow Pro palette. That's it. This eyeshadow. Okay. Okay. So this is a really pretty palette. I really like this. I haven't reached for it in quite a while, but I will go ahead and swatch some of these colors for you. I liked the formula the few times that I did use it. The mattes aren't super impressive, but the shimmers are very pretty. I am going to hold on to this just because I don't have much by Hard Candy, and I would like to really like test out the brand a little bit more. But I really do think this is a nice palette. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mattes, and the rest are shimmers or like pressed glitters. Like, this one is more of like a pressed glitter. But yeah, I think that this is a fun palette. It's a pretty like romantic toned palette, and I am going to hold on to it. Next up, let's talk about Tarte. So I have all of the Tartelette palettes. So this is the original Tartelette palette. This is what she looks like. This palette is super underwhelming to me. Like, the formula is fine, and it is more of like a cool toned palette. So, I mean, that is up my alley. The reason I'm holding on to this is because I need the whole collection. Is anyone else like that? Like, I can't declutter this. I've tried. I decluttered this, I think, in my last eyeshadow palette declutter, and then I undecluttered it because I was like, no, I need all of them. So we're gonna hold on to it. Maybe I'll pull it into a Shop My Stash soon and try and get more use out of it, because like I said, there's nothing wrong with the formula, there's nothing wrong with the colors. It's just something that isn't really like jumping out to me in my collection anymore, but you know, that's okay. This is the Tartelette in Bloom palette. This is a really pretty sister palette to the original Tarte. This is a little bit more like warm neutrals. You have some really nice like dark mattes down here. I really like the shade Funny Girl. Yeah, you have 1, 2, 3 shimmers, and the rest are mattes. This used to be my like top favorite eyeshadow palette. It's definitely not anymore. Just because, I don't know, these colors aren't really super inspiring to me anymore, but this is one of the palettes that I like to travel with. It is so scratched. Like, Jamie, take better care of your stuff, please. It is a palette that I really like traveling with, just because it is something that I can come into and I know exactly the look that I'm going to be getting. I know that it's going to perform well, and when I'm traveling, I act like I'm like a jet setter. When I go on my one vacation a year, I like having shades that I just know are gonna be flattering and simple and easy. I don't really do like intricate makeup looks on vacation, so I am gonna hold on to it. It's not a favorite anymore. It has tape on the back of it. Like, Jamie, what are you doing? Please advise, what are you doing? Next up is the Tartelette Toasted palette. So I got this when it released, was it last year? And I really like this palette. I don't reach for it nearly enough because I'm really into cool tones right now and I'm really not digging the warm tones, but when I want a like super warm look, I will absolutely reach for this palette. It is really, really pretty. Again, same Tarte standard of formula. I really like the Tarte eyeshadows. I feel like a lot of people, it's like you love them or you hate them. I personally really love Tarte eyeshadows. So that is that there. Those are just a few of the shades. I want a super warm look. This is something that I reach into often, and I am definitely keeping it. It is not going anywhere. Next up for my Tarte lineup, this is the Tarte, Tartist Pro palette. They did come out with the Pro Remix palette, which I did not feel inclined to purchase just because, I don't know, it didn't really speak to me, but this is the original Tartist palette. It has a whole bunch of mattes here, and then you have your 4 shimmer shades on the side. I will swatch the shimmers and a couple of the mattes for you. I love this palette. I love it so much. I got it for Christmas 2 years ago, and I have just always really enjoyed this palette. There is nothing that I can really say negatively about this palette. When I come into it, I get excited, I get motivated, I get inspired to just play with these different tones. You have your warm tones, you have your cool tones. Sorry, I'm trying to swatch a bunch for you guys. You can see you have warm tones, you have cool tones, you have that really cool like blue-brown shift right there. I just think this palette is so pretty, and it is one that I have gotten a lot of use out of and that has seen a lot of love, and it's definitely not going anywhere. This is definitely one of my more favorite palettes in my collection. I think this is my last Tarte palette. So this is from Holiday of 2018. This is the Paradise is a State of Mind eyeshadow palette. I think that's what it's called. That's what it says on the mirror. I don't really know exactly what the palette is called, but it came in like their little holiday gift set this year. I love this palette, and I so wish that this wasn't limited edition because I feel really like it sucks. I don't want to recommend something to you guys that you can't get your hands on. However, I will say that Tarte palettes are not the most unique. They're palettes from from holiday to holiday. You know, you get the neutrals with like your pops of colors and then like a green. Like that's pretty standard, I feel like, for Tarte. So I do think that you can find something very similar to this in their brand. What am I trying to say? Words. But yeah, I really do love this palette. It is not going anywhere. I love it. I love the packaging. I love everything about this palette. It is so great. So definitely keeping it. Moving into some of my little pocket palettes over here. So this is by NATASHA DENONA. This is the eyeshadow palette 5 in number 01. So those are the swatches right there for the NATASHA DENONA. I will say I do not get a whole ton of use out of this. I really don't reach into it very often. I think these colors are beautiful. It's just that it's a very rare day for me to be like going for this kind of like teal shade or this like metallic purple. But when I do want colors like that, this is the palette that I will grab for. I think this shade is really stunning. That one right there, oh, so pretty. But this blue is a little patchy, but you know, it's a blue, so what do you want? I do overall think that the formula is nice. I don't have any of NATASHA DENONA's larger palettes because I just cannot bring myself to pay that much money. I think this was around like $40 or $45, which is still really stupidly expensive for 5 eyeshadows. So now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm just like, Jamie, what were you thinking? But it is nice. I'm happy to have it in my collection just for like reference and such. But yeah, we will be keeping that. Next up is by Too Faced. This is the Natural Matte Palette. So this was in my Project Pan Roulette collab. So you guys have seen this palette a lot in the past 4 months. It is a nice palette. It's a very nice basic matte palette. Of course, I got a lot of use out of the shade Heaven. I really do like Cashmere Bunny, Sexpresso, Nudist. I like these two colors down here, Honey Butter and Chocolate Cookie, for when I want something a little bit more warm. It is a nice palette. It's not the most exciting of palettes, but it is a good like daytime palette for me to reach for because it's very easy to put just a quick, natural, matte look together. So I will be keeping it, just not the most exciting. Oh, another Tarte palette. I completely forgot that I had this. So this is also by Tarte. This is the Make Believe in Yourself palette. We actually got this at Generation Beauty 2 years ago for free, which was amazing. I will swatch some of these colors for you. So those are just some of the colors. I do think that they are pretty. I don't reach for this palette a whole ton. However, I do like it when I do use it. I think that it is fun. If you're using like an all matte palette, this is a nice little companion palette. I'm not sure if this is still available. Next up is by Huda Beauty. So this is their little Obsessions palette. This is the Mauve Obsessions. So Huda Beauty's, I wouldn't really consider her cruelty-free just because she does sell mink eyelashes. They claim that their makeup is not tested on animals, but then they have mink eyelashes. I bought this in a moment of weakness like a year ago or so when I wasn't really as strict on like the whole eyelashes thing. I was like, okay, well, she doesn't test her makeup on animals, so I can buy this. But I've since changed my mind and I really don't want to support the brand any further. However, this palette is so nice, which really sucks because I really like it. Again, these are colors that I have like over and over again in my collection, but I don't even care. This is just such a pretty mauve palette. I really do like the looks that I come up with when I am using this. I haven't used it in quite a while, but I do want to break it back out pretty soon because I don't know. I love it, which sucks, but it's true. So this is a little quad by Wet n Wild. This is their Color Icon Eyeshadow Quad in Sweet as Candy. This is going to be decluttered. Honestly, I don't know why I bought this. Probably because it was like $1.99, and how can you pass up $1.99? But I really don't love this palette. This is just so underwhelming to me. I really don't reach for quads that often just because you're so limited on the looks that you can create. So yeah, this one is going to be passed along. Speaking of quads, this is the Eye Luxe Mesmerizing Quad in Tranquilize by LA Girl. Has some nice teal shades, a brown and a cream. I will again swatch them for you. I actually really like this color right here. It's kind of like a khaki. So I mean, the quality is nice. These definitely all have like an iridescence to them. They are not matte. The only one that I would say is like kind of matte is this one. It looks like more of a satin to me, but it is more on the matte side. I know I just said that I don't really love quads, but I am going to hold on to this just because I do like the formula. The color scheme is a little bit more unique for a quad. Even though I do have these colors in my collection already, I do just want to keep it, so I'm going to. Next up is by the BALM. This is the Smoke Bomb palette. So this is a little trio by the BALM. I got this for free at Gen Beauty. It was like free with purchase at the BALM's little station. And I like it. I think it's cute. And I am going to hold on to it just because I know that you can't really do much with it, but it's a great little like on-the-go palette. Like boom, this in the crease, this on the brow bone, this all over the lid, or this in the crease, this all over the lid, and this on the lower lash line. Like it's just one of those where you're just like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do with this. So I am going to hold on to it, even though I just spoke about how quads don't really give me much wiggle room. That's okay. So next up is this palette by Wet n Wild. This is the Color Icon palette in Nude Awakening. So inside you have just some very basic colors. They aren't the most long lasting on the eyes. They definitely fade. You definitely need to use an eyeshadow primer with them, but I do like this. I don't love it, but I do want to hold on to it. I'm going to use the excuse that I just want a Wet n Wild palette to use as a point of reference, so for that reason, I'm going to hold on to it. This is a palette by MILANI. This is their Earthy Elements palette in, oh no, Everyday Eyes palette in Earthy Elements. So this is what this palette looks like. So that is the entire palette swatch there on my hand. I do like this palette. I think it's a nice little everyday neutral palette, and I am going to go ahead and hold on to it. This right here is another one by Wet n Wild. This is their Comfort Zone palette. This is the old formula and packaging. I will swatch this. I'm kind of undecided on this one, but maybe swatching it will help change my mind. Yep, just as I expected, it changed my mind. So I'm actually going to hold on to this palette. I do think this is really pretty. Why am I like not reaching for this? This was in my last Shop My Stash and I didn't reach for it once. Oh, why? These colors are so pretty. This green, so pretty. So yeah, holding on to this, but need to reach for it more because that is pretty. So this is another one by MILANI. This is a newer one to me. This is their Soft and Sultry palette, and oh my goodness, I love this palette so much. I will swatch some of them for you just so you can get an idea. I just want to show you like me actually swatching it, like, is that helpful? You need the sound effect, you know? And I'll swatch one of the mattes for you just so you can see. Well, I swatched one of the lightest mattes, so you're not really going to be able to see. But that is that right there. I have been really loving this palette. I got this at CVS not too long ago, and I have really been getting along with it. It is just the perfect cool tone neutral palette in my personal humble opinion. So we will be holding on to that one. Okay. Let's get into some of these palettes over here. Speaking of cool toned, this is by Studio Makeup on the Go. This is their Cool Down palette, and this is a 9-pan palette. We got this in BoxyCharm a couple of years ago, and I really like this palette. Again, nothing super revolutionary in my collection. Let's be real. Is anything really revolutionary these days? Not really. But I do really like this formula. I really love the color scheme. Again, it's kind of along the lines of like the MILANI and what was the other cool tone palette that I was talking about? Something else, but it is just so pretty. I really like it. This is kind of an expensive palette. Like if you were to buy this is like $45, I want to say, which I think is really overpriced for what it is, but since I got it in BoxyCharm, I think the price was right, you know? This is by Pure Cosmetics. This is the My Little Pony palette, and I just think this is so adorable. So much fun, and some of these colors are actually great. I mean, they're all great, but like, I just really, really like this palette. The pigmentation is just there. It is really, really pretty, and I really just feel inspired when I look at this palette. Let's watch the yellow because I have been really wanting to do like an all yellow look recently. Some girls that I follow here have been doing that and have really been inspiring me, so that could be an option there. But I really like playing with this palette, and yeah, she's not going anywhere. Really happy with that one. Oh wow, that pink is staining my hand. Oh my god, it's literally staining my hand. Guys, Are you kidding me? Let's get into some Colourpop palettes. This is my Dream Street palette. This is the Kathleen Lights and Colourpop collab. I'm not going to swatch this just because I feel like everyone knows this palette, but this is a really pretty option. It's a nice palette. I don't feel like it's a favorite of mine like it is so many other YouTubers. I feel like a lot of people obsess over this. I think it's good. I think the quality is definitely there. It's just the colors. It's just like, you know, it's very pretty. It's very pretty, but it's not unique to my collection, that's for sure. But I do like it, and I will be holding on to it. This is a great cool tone palette. So this is the Fame palette by Colourpop. This one, I think this might be my favorite cool tone palette. So I'm just going to swatch some for you. It's just a pretty cool toned neutral palette. The shimmers are so pretty. The mattes are so blendable. It's very in line with the rest of the Colourpop shadows that I have tried. And at first I was not really like feeling this palette, but then I asked for it for Christmas. And I am so happy that I did because this is one of my more favorite palettes that I've tried in a while. So definitely need to bring this back into my Shop My Stash because it's so good. Getting into some more Too Faced palettes. This is the original chocolate bar palette. Whew, this one is a conflict to me. It is a nice palette. It's just that like I never... Wait, what is that? What kind of swatch is that? Hello? That was Gilded Ganache. That is probably the worst swatch we've had all night. That is just a crumbly mess. That was this shade right here. I do like the mattes in here. I really do like Too Faced mattes. I think that they do mattes really well. The shade Amaretto is really nice. Shade Marzipan is really nice. Creme Brulee is nice. Just that one shade. Jesus, what was that? I am going to keep it. I'm going to bring it into my next Shop My Stash, and if I don't love it, I might consider decluttering this. This was so hyped up on YouTube for so long, and I feel like it still kind of is, and it's just so to me. So I definitely need to play with it more because I don't feel like I've given it a fair shot. So it is going to stay in my collection for now, but hopefully in the future I fall in love with it. This is my Too Faced Peach palette. I really do like this palette. This was my palette for last year's Project Pan, and I mean, a lot of these colors are just super pretty. Those are just a few examples, but I really like the more peachy tones. I like the green. I like the mattes. I really do like this palette. I got sick of it last year because I was using it on such a consistent basis, but now that I'm not, I am kind of feeling re-motivated to play with it, so I really do like it, and it is staying. This is by the BALM. This is the Meet Matrimony Matte Eyeshadow Palette. This is a 9-pan palette. You just have some really nice basic mattes in here. It is more like cool tone neutral in my opinion, and I do like this. I think that it is a nice, like, simple everyday palette, and I am going to hold on to it. I don't feel like it's special enough to give you guys swatches right now, but I think it is nice. This is my Tarte Clay Play Volume 1 palette. So, oh, I should have included this with the rest of my Tarte, but this has some bronzing shades, but I do consider this more of like an eyeshadow palette, so I just decided to put it in my eyeshadow palette drawer. The packaging is so reflective, but this has some really nice matte shades up here. Yeah, it's an all matte palette. It is a nice, like, everyday palette, and I haven't used this in quite a while, but I do like it. This is my Carly by Belle palette. This has some eyeshadows up here and then some highlights down here. Guys, I decluttered this once and I think I'm going to declutter it again. I just don't care for this palette. I really like BH. I like BH a lot. It's just that this particular palette is so underwhelming to me. Like, these colors are very similar, these colors are very similar, these colors are very similar. And it's just like, the highlights are nice, but not enough for me to want to keep the entire palette. So I am going to declutter this one. Whew, that is funny because I already decluttered it and we're decluttering it again. And guys, if I undeclutter it for the third time, please tell me that I need to, I don't know, check myself because that would just be hilarious. This is by the BALM. This is their Nude Tude palette. So this is what the Nude Tude looks like. I am going to hold on to this. I like it. I don't love this palette, but I do think that it is fun, and I really like the BALM, so I do want to hold on to it. I love the packaging, so we will be keeping her. This palette is by Dose of Colors. This is the Ice Cream palette. This I got, I think, 2 years ago, and this just has some really fun, like, pastel-y colors along with some, like, basic mattes. I will go ahead and swatch these for you. It's really super pretty. I really like this palette, and I definitely reach for this more in like the springtime for the pastel, like colorful shades, but the neutral shades are really nice too. So this is a nice one. I think this was limited edition. I don't think you can get your hands on it anymore, but I love the packaging. I love everything about this. So definitely gonna hold on to that. This is my Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. Not going to swatch this because this is quite a well-known palette, but I really do like this. I got it for Christmas, and we're holding on to her. This is another Urban Decay palette. This is the Jean Michel Basquiat palette. Probably butchered that. But this is what this looks like. It's just a little bit more of like a grungy palette, which I kind of like. I haven't gotten a whole ton of use out of this, but I love everything about it. I love the packaging, I love the artwork, I love the color scheme, and I love the formula, so I'm definitely going to hold on to this. Again, I think this was limited edition, but I really do like it. This is my Urban Decay Born to Run palette. Again, a super well-known palette on the beauty world. This is really pretty. I had such high expectations for this, and I will say that it kind of fell short for me. It's not like my favorite palette. I look at it and I kind of just go, huh, like what am I gonna do? Because you don't really have that many mattes. You have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and that's it. I wish they would have thrown in some more like colorful mattes, or maybe just a couple more like transition shades. But I do like it. I am gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep using it. I do like it, but it wasn't, I feel like I'm not as blown away by it as everyone else seems to be. This is my ABH Prism palette. Oh, you guys, I love this palette so much. So here's like that kind of electric green that I was saying from the NYX palette that I knew that I had in this palette. But I mean, these shades really do speak for themselves. Absolutely adore this palette. I think that it is so much fun. When I look at it, I get really excited to play with color. I get really inspired. Again, I think this was limited edition. I'm not sure if you can still find it, but I really like it. So definitely holding on to that. This is my ABH Subculture palette, and this is another favorite of mine. I'm not going to swatch it. Actually, I will. I'll swatch this color. I'll swatch Edge because that color is just so good. I will also swatch a couple of others of my faves. This is just such a nice, like, grungier palette. It just really inspires me. It really makes me excited to play with color, and I just really love this. I will admit the formula isn't the easiest to work with. However, I don't think that it is like impossible. I know that a lot of people really like knocked this palette for the formula, but I don't really have like a ton of issues with it, so it's definitely a palette that you need to work a little bit more with. So it's not really a like morning before work, gotta put together an eye look kind of palette, because I did that once and it was a disaster, because you need time to play with this palette. This is not like a quick look palette. This isn't a 5-minute makeup palette. So really do love it though, and yeah, definitely going to keep it. Got a couple more palettes back here. So this is the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. You have some like larger pans up here, and then I think it's split into like warm, cool, and neutral. I think that's how it is. This palette is nice. It is. It has a nice formula. There's definitely nothing bad that I can say about the formula. And it is a nice, like, neutral, like, basic kind of palette. I don't really reach for it. And I don't really support Kat Von D's brand anymore, but I don't feel like that's a reason for me to get rid of it. And I do think that it is a nice all matte palette. So this might be one that I put on my chopping block. I am planning on doing a video like that here soon. So this might be going on my chopping block, but we will hold on to it for now. This one is by NYX. This is their Ultimate Brights palette. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, I do think that I am going to declutter this. Can't deny the pigment, that's for sure. It's tough. It is tough because I don't reach for this. I haven't reached for this in a very long time. It is a nice, like, colorful palette from the drugstore. This pan is crooked. Like, how did they manage that? That's literally in there crooked. That's annoying. This might be another one that goes on my chopping block. I didn't realize that it had a couple of shimmers in here. I thought it was all mattes. Anyway, it's hard because let me open this drawer, because what I need to do right now is I need to compare this to my Juvia's Place palette. This is the Masquerade Mini, and this has some really pretty bright shades, but I do feel like you get a couple of more in here. Oh guys, I really thought that I was going to declutter this, but now that I'm like looking at it and swatching it, I think I might keep it. This might end up going on my chopping block, but for now I am going to keep it. Those swatched really nicely. I'm gonna have to put it on my chopping block, test it out some more, see if the formula is good on the eyes and if it's worth holding on to. But that does it for this top drawer. Let me go ahead and put all of these palettes back, and then we're gonna hop into the bottom drawer, which has some of my like larger palettes. Okay, so this is all put back together, and now let's move on to this bottom drawer. So this is my Lorac Beauty and the Beast Tale as Old as Time palette. It is just the sweetest packaging, and when you open it up you have these shadows. I do think that this is quite bulky packaging for the amount of shadows that you get. I do understand why they made the packaging like this though. It is really nice and very on theme with Beauty and the Beast. Now, I don't get much use out of these colors, but I do really like the formula. Like I said, I really like Lorac's formula, and this isn't going anywhere just because Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie, so we are going to hold on to that for sure. I do have a couple of self-made palettes in here. So this is by Coastal Scents, and these are just a bunch of their, I think they're called like Hot Pots, their little single eyeshadows. These are okay. To be honest, I think they were having like a sale when I bought these or something, and they're not bad shadows. I just never reach for them. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna hold on to it for now. This might be another one that you see in like a chopping block series. I am gonna hold on to it for now just because these are some fun colors that I would like to play with. I mean, these are basically the same color. I don't know why I got both of them. This is kind of like that mustard color that I have over and over again in my collection, but I haven't really played with it, so I would like to get some use out of it before I make my decision. This is another self-made palette, and probably the most boring self-made palette that has ever existed. I went through a phase where I was just buying so many browns from Makeup Geek that it's just like, Jamie, what were you thinking? Like, these are all the same. You could eliminate probably 90% of these and still be fine. Some of them are Makeup Geek, some of them are Anastasia Beverly Hills, a couple of them are Ofra. They are all good eyeshadows. I don't know. Someday I'll probably go through and declutter them, but that day is not today. I am gonna hold on to them. This is my Lorac Mega Pro palette. I think this is the original one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pretty sure it's the original one. That's what it looks like. A lot of these colors are very redundant in my opinion. Like, some of them just look the same on the eyes, but I do, again, really like the formula, and my brother gave this to me as a present, so I'm gonna hold on to it. I do like it, and when I use it, I like the looks that I come up with, so we'll hold on to that. This is a super old palette. This is the Morphe and Kathleen Lights collab, and I just love this palette. I love the colors in here. I really like the formula. I love Kathleen, so I am definitely going to hold on to it. Those are just some swatches there. I mean, I have so many of this like green color, but I like this palette. I don't use it nearly enough, but I really do enjoy it. I like the colors, I like the formula, and I like Kathleen, so we will be holding on to that one. That was limited edition though, it's from a couple years ago. Another Morphe palette. This is the 3502. So I had the 3500 and I decluttered it a little while ago. This is the 3502, and I really do like this palette. This color right here, just straight fire. That is like so, I mean, hello, like those are so pretty. I love these like super intense fiery colors, and then of course you have like mattes and you have some more subdued colors. I'm not really into like huge palettes like this anymore, but this is one that I really do like. I mean, a lot of these colors look exactly the same, but you know what? That's okay because I do really like the formula and I like a lot of the colors. Another one by Morphe. This is the 35P palette. This is their purple palette. I don't really feel like I need this palette. The only reason I was really keeping it was for like this, like the shimmery purples. And if I knew how, I would try depotting some of these, but I know that people have tried depotting Morphe palettes like this in the past and have just like broken all of the shadows. But I mean, I think that's so pretty, so pretty. So I'm kind of torn. I am going to hold on to it. I might look into trying to depot those colors because like the rest of the colors like on this side of the palette are very boring and very like repetitive to my collection. I feel like the only really like purple section is like this right here. So we'll see. I'm gonna hold on to it for now, but yeah, I mean, these colors alone, I need to do a look with those because woo, that is just pretty. This is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I will never get rid of this. I love this palette. It's ginormous. It is like the size of my head, but like bigger than my head actually. My head is not that big. Oh, is it bigger than my head? Now I need to know. Is it bigger than my head? No, I think it's about the size of my head. Whew, what the heck. These are some just really pretty colors, really lots of variety, and I just freaking love it, so we're keeping it. This is by BH Cosmetics. I love this. This is the Foil Eyes 28 color eyeshadow palette. This is what she looks like, and to be honest, wait, some of these purples could rival that other purple palette. So if these are kind of giving me the same vibe, wait, hold on, I want to swatch them side by side. Okay, now we're gonna swatch the Morphe, swatching it like right next to it. That is pretty much identical. Okay, those shades right there. I mean, they're not like identical, but they're definitely very similar. This color and this color, wow, those are pretty much the same. And then like that color. And that's pretty much the same. So happy that I'm doing this because that means I am actually going to declutter this palette because I thought those purples were super unique, but I have them in this BH palette. So yay, that is exciting actually. I am so happy that I figured that out because I was holding on to this purple palette thinking that it was just so unique and really just filling the purple void in my collection, but now I can just use my BH. So yeah, we're gonna declutter the Morphe 35P and we're gonna keep the BH Foil Eyes because it is so pretty. Another one by BH Cosmetics. This is the Studio Pro Ultimate Artistry eyeshadow palette. I love this palette so much. This inspires the heck out of me. I just really love it. Really love it. Yes, these colors are just so pretty. There we go. So pretty. And I really love BH's formula. I think that it is pretty underrated in my opinion. I feel like for the price, it is like absolutely incredible. So I'm definitely keeping this. I freaking love that palette. Now this is by Violet Voss. This is the Ride or Die palette. First of all, the packaging is just to die for. And then you have the inside, and this is quite the large palette. You have a bunch of like warm tones over here, some like really unique shimmers, and then some more cool tones on this side. I love this palette. I really do. I love it. I love the formula. I love the colors. I love the variety. It does inspire me. I mean, a couple of these colors are repetitive, like Paula and Jane here are pretty much the same color. Emma and Allison, one could have been removed. Jasmine and Jamie. There is a shade named Jamie in here. Look at that right there. I mean, it's a silver, which, you know, I would have preferred like a brown or like a green, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh wait, no. Oh yeah, that is Jamie. Okay. Yeah, two silvers, like we didn't really need that. We don't need a sparkly black. So there are definitely some shades in here that I could have eliminated if I was making the palette, but I didn't, so. But yeah, I am definitely keeping this. I love it. And it was like $75, so hell yeah, I'm keeping it. So now we have my JUVIA'S Place palettes in here. So let's start with the smaller one. This is the Nubian by JUVIA'S. And this is a cute little 12 pan palette. You have some really nice warm shades in here. I really love this shade in particular. I think this is like a unique, like burnt orange mustardy color. I do like this palette. I am gonna hold on to it. I might declutter it in the future, but for now I am going to keep it. Next up we have the Masquerade Mini by JUVIA'S, which I pulled out before to compare it to the NYX one, but this palette intimidates the heck out of me. Like, these rows up here are just like so intense. I mean, ready? That is just straight pigment. I'm not swatching the pink because that one I know stains. Like, when I wore it once, I stained my eyes. That is just really pretty. It's really pretty. It is. It's very pretty. I just get very intimidated by it. I look at it and I'm just like, what am I doing? But it is fun for those days when I just want to play with color. So I am going to hold on to it. It is a nice palette. And I can't believe that this is the mini because these eyeshadow pans are still ginormous. However, this is a regular size palette and you'll see that they're like twice the size. This is the Nubian 2 by JUVIA'S, and these pans are just whew, pretty big. I really do, I mean, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I love the JUVIA'S Place formula. I think that it is really pretty. Those are a couple of swatches there. Really pretty. Again, sometimes their color schemes, I'm just kind of like stumped. Like, I don't know which direction to go in. I think the blue really throws me off here. But overall, I really do like this palette. I'm going to hold on to it. That was, I think, the first JUVIA'S Place palette that I ever had. Oh, and then these are just some empty Z palettes that have absolutely nothing in them. So that was it for that. I'm going to go ahead and put these back and wrap up this video. Guys, so that's going to wrap up my eyeshadow palette collection video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it was insightful. I love seeing other people's collections, so I hope that this was somewhat interesting to you, and I hope that you aren't too upset by the fact that I'm not doing a huge declutter series, because honestly, I don't think it would have been really fun for me to do a just main declutter video on this and only declutter like 4 palettes. I think that would have been a little boring, so I thought this was a more fun take on it, and I really hope that you guys liked it. So thank you again so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, I do hope that you will subscribe. I would love to have you back here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!